そして梅原君の目の前で行われた決勝戦、ついに自らが対峙する全米チャンピオンが決定。全米チャンピオンとなったのはアレックス・バイエ20歳。
今の気持ちはどうですか？
I'm feeling great. It's about time I play a Japanese champion.
日本のチャンピオンを紹介します。大悟、梅原。
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Born Free here, and I'm with Alex Valle, Mr. Street Fighter. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's I haven't really done these. I watch them, but I haven't done this with you, man. So this should be interesting.
I know. You know what?
Yeah.
I wanted to do it for ages, but it's just never found the right moment.
Sure.
There's so many people like that, but like you in particular, you know, because like, how many years have you been playing Street Fighter?
Longer than Knuckle Do and Punk has been born.
Yeah.
Longer
right?
than that, man. Yeah, I've been through the entire 30 years of Street Fighter.
Okay, so that's interesting because like I could sit here and I've watched so many videos of you, and I could literally, like I was saying to Alex before, I was saying like I could spend a week like preparing for this interview because I could talk about all of that stuff. But I'm going to indulge myself a little bit. We're going to talk about one thing. First off, straight off the bat, we're going to talk about 1999 Street Fighter Alpha 3. First time that Daigo came to America, I believe. He was brought here by Capcom. I just want to try and understand what was going on at that time. Like I think sometimes you've said in interviews I was a punk or whatever. Like I don't know. Like, but before that tournament, like what was going on? Were you like were you the best? And you knew you were the best?
Yeah, okay. So, just a little bit more deeper background on me. I wasn't the best as soon as I touched the sticks. I mean, I played Street Fighter 1. It wasn't really competitive. It was you play computer. Sometimes somebody plays with you, but Street Fighter 2, everybody played together, right?
Yeah.
That was the first game that brought crowds together competitively like that. And I still wasn't great. I was just like...
It saved the arcade.
Yeah, it was this arcade era, right? It was just people like trying to mash buttons, trying to see how the special moves weren't around, so you had to figure it out on your own. Yeah. Eventually, throughout this whole, phenomenon of like players together, you would finally see who the good guys are. It took me a couple years to find out a couple community members that kind of figured me or kind of saw that I was getting improving, and they introduced me to better players.
Okay.
And my good friend Tao Duong, this is way back like Champion Edition era.
Yeah.
It said that there's this really good Street Fighter player by the name of Mike Watson.
Yeah.
And fast forward to Alpha 1 is kind of where the game that I started to like dominating my region, my area, SoCal, right?
Okay.
But once he got this introduction with Watson, and like, I'll play him at my arcade. Watson comes in, meet up, and we kind of like, hey, right? It wasn't like how we meet people these days. Back then, it was more of an attitude thing. Like,
you was like pretty young, right?
Yeah, I was maybe 16.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That is how you meet people.
Yeah. That was how you meet people, right? And he just beat my ass. He beat my ass so hard, and I was frustrated because I thought I was like the best at this game at that time. And then I got so frustrated. I said, "Hey, you want to play one of the older ones?" And he's all, "Sure," right? Like I had any chance. And I went to go play him, and it was even worse. Like those were his games, right? The games before Alpha, like Super Turbo, Hyper Fighter, Champion, World Warrior, like
I've seen the videos.
Mike Watson was the best at this era before Tomo Watson. Anyways, so but think about it. I'm playing now. I have access to playing one of the best players.
Yeah.
And playing with him and Jeff Schaefer, Tao Duong, a bunch of the guys that we had a centralized location to play. I got better.
Yeah.
And I eventually beat them. And this was around Alpha 2. It's just right up my alley because all I had to do was just, everything that I learned from Alpha 1, I tried it in Alpha 2. I had all the time in the world. I was a new kid. And me and Mike played in our first tournament in Alpha 2, and that's the And the most memorable tournament for him, last game I jumped in with Ken. He was Charlie. I empty jump level 3 super, and like to him, you know, he's like, you would do that, right? You would like you would do something like that. It's because he kept checking me every time I jumped in. He made me land on a fireball, right? Or he made me land on a normal so he can cancel into a fireball.
Yeah.
So I knew I wasn't in range, and I knew he was gonna do a low, I think medium punch into Sonic Boom to keep me away. I just level 3 supered it, and he's like...
So, yeah, there's a couple of things that interest me about that. One is that you remember it in such amazing detail.
Yeah.
Right? And that was one fight. So, like, do you remember all your matches like that? Or just, like, the very specific ones?
I remember the game-changing fights. And the reason why I mentioned this story is because that's when I knew that the torch was passed.
Okay.
You know, and, like, because he was the guy that I was chasing. Since he beat me so hard, right? And if I can beat him, then I'm able to beat everybody else.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's Alpha 2. I had my reign on that. I was undefeated for the longest time in Alpha 2.
Okay.
Cross country.
How are you guys like? How are you talking to each other about the game? Were you talking in the same terms that you talk now? Like, were you talking about frame data? Or,
no,
like,
not at all.
How did you talk about the game?
No.
How did you learn? Like, did you say this can be punished? Did you use those terms?
It was is that safe? Right? Is that safe?
Okay.
My move has more priority than yours. Right?
Okay.
You know, proximity blocking was there, but the term wasn't. So it's like, oh, I just whiff a jab and I wait for him to whiff a move and I sweep it.
Okay.
That was our way of saying, oh, just perform a proximity guard frame trap on somebody.
Right.
Like, you know, when you can jab somebody from full screen, and if they're holding back, they'll start guarding.
Yeah.
So as Street Fighter games later on, new Street Fighter games come along, the distance becomes shorter and shorter. But in the old games, you can prevent like Guile from walking backwards. That's why you would see a lot of, when you prevent him from walking backwards, you do a standing jab. You walk forward, but you stop on a dime because you know he's going to push crouching medium kick. You sweep that. Mike wants to top it.
Wow.
That's what, like, oh man, I'm gonna whiff. That's what whiffing buttons back then was a big deal. Because you prevent people from walking backwards, and you would toy with that range of the proximity guard a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we can kind of tell what button you're gonna push in that range.
So together you broke it down, and you started to develop a language and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, that isn't actually what I wanted to talk about. Well, I mean, that's important, but what I wanted to talk about was then suddenly this tournament happened, right? How did that come about? Did somebody say to you like, hey, Alex Valle, we need you to come to this tournament and we're inviting this guy from Japan?
Yeah. So you had to keep in mind, we were still in our bubble in America. Yeah. We had no idea of international play, except, I mean, we knew Japan played it. That's the home of Street Fighter, right? But there was no access to internet, at least widely for the public. You know, rich people had internet. I was one of the. I didn't get internet for a while. I had to go to like my community college and kind of like emails.
Sure.
Netscape.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. But there was this group called alt.games.sf2, which was like pretty much a news group, aka like a blog forum post, so people can kind of say, hey, we're the best here in whatever town, and that's kind of where the Cannons. Tom and Tony Cannon invited everybody for their B3 tournament, Battle by the Bay. Yeah. So the reason I'm telling the story is because this is how we got our information abroad. Yeah. Because before that, it was just word of mouth and hot arcades is where we got the information. But now since internet's involved, and it was able. You know, we were able to get invitations from like Midwest Championships of Jason Wilson tournaments. You know, where Watson went in 1994 for Super Street Fighter 2. I went with Choi for Street Fighter 3, right? And so these things are now becoming a more out-of-state presence to where Alpha 3 is coming along and it's there, and Capcom had a promotional opportunity with doing a world tournament, right? Having the best from Japan versus the best in America, and they wanted to.
Like Capcom came out with that.
Yes, it was Capcom, it was Jason Wilson, because he hosted the American side of it.
Okay.
In Japan, there was actually, think of SBO qualifiers.
Yeah.
That's how intensive their qualification process was for Alpha 3.
For anyone who doesn't know, SBO is like one game. That's it. I don't even think it's double elimination. It's definitely not best out of 3.
No.
It's just one game. No. That's it.
Yeah. So you would like every major city in Japan was trying to qualify for this thing.
Yeah.
And the 2 best players were Daigo and Nuki.
Yeah.
And Daigo perfect Nuki. Yeah, of course, in this fashion to qualify, right? And he was in. We had no footage of this stuff yet.
So you were trying to find out stuff about Daigo before he came over.
Well, we didn't. There was no way. Like we just.
No way.
Yeah, there was no way because there was no forum that says like, oh, these are the Japanese tournaments that are happening, and there's you know, right, and there's no YouTube. So how do we even fathom getting the footage?
So when you turned up to the tournament, did you know the name Daigo? Did you know anything, or did you just turn up and there was this Japanese guy there?
So we were American players at the time, my time. We were very, just like as you would see it, lots of pride.
Yeah.
I've won tournaments like cross country in my sleep.
Yeah.
Like it would be me, Mike Watson, and John Choi, top 3 in like every tournament for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when we would hear about like, oh, okay, international player people are coming, that's great, but how hard could it be? At least in my head, because I haven't been put down on my pedestal yet. That's just the way it is. If you've always won these tournaments, you're thinking like, wow, when is it going to be when you actually put down a notch?
Yeah.
So finally heard that there's this kid that won in Japan that he's being flown out to, but I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just only thinking about just making sure that I win
to get to him.
Yeah. Right. So in order to do that, I had to hide my best character.
I know. I read about that.
Yep.
Tell me that.
Yeah. So it's sandbagging. That's one way to put it. But what I did is I practiced characters that I can hide my main character behind. Yeah. So I was so good that my 4th, 5th string character could take me to top 8, no problem.
Yeah.
Then when I play top 8, now I got to strategically find which guy I'm going to beat without pulling out my main character, which Graham Wolf had the best Dalsum. And Dalsum was really a big weakness for Ryu, right? No matter which version, even Vism, but I tried to use Rolento. He had Rolento practice with his friends in NorCal, and nobody knew about the Vism. They didn't explore Visms like I did, and I had to pick Vism Ryu in grand finals versus him. But at that time in the grand finals, Daigo was behind us watching.
I know.
He was watching.
I remember,
because I knew
watching that video.
I knew that I can't let anybody have any extra advantage. Because I've been in tournaments, and I don't want people to see or adapt.
He was standing right behind you.
He was standing right behind you. He was like this.
Yeah, watching.
Like watching, right? So I did what I could to beat Graham Wolf. I won the U.S. National.
But you had to use Ryu.
But I had to use Vism Ryu. So by the time I played Daigo, which was pretty interesting too.
He was playing Akuma.
He played Akuma, Vism Akuma, but the rules were changed. It's 3 out of 5 rounds, not 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I know you were confused at the end, right?
Well, leading up to that, we were actually supposed to have 2 special tournaments. One Japanese style and one American style. One is just one playthrough, the other is American, right? And they just didn't have time. That's what was communicated to me. That's why I made that awkward turn, like, are we supposed to play another game?
Yeah.
And then they're all like, no time. I'm like, okay.
So were you salty? Were you feeling salty at that moment?
Oh, of course. It's like.
Did you feel like I could beat him, or did you? What were you feeling?
So okay, I was ahead. I was 1 round away from winning.
Okay.
1 round away because I was doing stuff that he's never seen before either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they don't have access to our videos, right? Yeah. And they did have, or the Japanese players optimized everything. They still did at the time did stuff that we've never seen. especially Akuma unblockable. We didn't know that you can do, EX red fireball, and demon flip, and then the demon flip is an overhead.
Okay.
Right. So since there's shadows behind it in the Vism,
Yeah.
he can hit low short
Okay.
as well. So by the time the low short starts, the last shadow of the of the Vism overhead hits you.
Okay.
It's unblockable.
Yeah.
And we're all like, and John's all like, why can't you block that? I'm like, dude, I can't. It's unblockable. They're like, oh
Okay.
crap. So, but anyways, he adapted, and I didn't want to really admit that at the time. I'm like, oh man, I should have beat him. But
At the time, you felt so. At the time,
at
you
the-
felt you could beat him.
at the time, for sure, because I was like, dude, I was already. He beat me the very first round, just the
Yeah.
very first round, just to see where we're at. But then I beat him on everything else.
Yeah.
I did have a superior ground game,
Okay.
but he had just superior optimization. And then on top of that, he countered some of the stuff that I did. Like he
Okay.
started to teleport versus like the reset Vism combos that I was doing.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy on the spot that we've never seen.
Yeah.
That's the difference between like how players prepare for big matches, because you have the data in front of you, right?
Yeah.
This is foreign. We've never seen each
Yeah.
other play to that level and adapting on the fly, and Daigo did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I would have beat him, that probably would have been my send off. Like I
Yeah,
don't really
yeah.
need to play this anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's like I've done it all.
Yeah.
But since he did, now it just made it that much more interesting. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get you the next one.
Yeah, and we could go on forever because
Yeah.
you travel to Japan and all that sort of stuff,
yeah,
SBO
yeah.
and all that. What I wanted to ask you was, when you did that, did you play any casuals afterwards with him?
Yeah, so
you did? I thought you
no,
wanted to
well,
do that.
we did a special exhibition with like all the top American players there.
Okay.
He picked Gen and Guy, and we're all like, what?
Okay.
Right? And he was doing crazy stuff with those characters.
Okay.
I picked V Rolento
Okay.
versus his Guy, and he just did stuff that crazy. Just mid-air combos that we've never seen,
Okay.
and it just was really hype. I mean, Alpha 3 was a hype game. You guys can definitely check it out on YouTube, but he really showed us what like mid-tier or low-tier, what we thought characters could do versus people that have never seen this stuff before. So, yeah.
I've always wanted to know like some of the things going on around that, and that was actually the beginning for people who don't know. Most of you do, but that was the first time Daigo came to America. Alex Valle was the first person that he played, and I actually heard a rumor that he switched. He started to in that game he switched to Ryu after playing you because he started to understand the potential of Ryu as a character. Is that true?
Yes. So he did mention that I was doing stuff that he's never seen, and they did call one of my setups Valle Combo.
Oh, that's so cool.
I would do crouching. I would activate middle activation because each activation has a different speed.
Okay.
Crouching sweep, fireball because there's no tech roll.
Okay.
Crouching sweep, fireball, cross up, and early cross up or late cross up. It would be a fake cross up. And then I would reset back over and over. So
Okay.
they weren't even thinking about resettings yet. They were just doing full optimized combos.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
So they called it Valle Combo, right?
Because it had a reset. They got
Yeah.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And Nuki said that he had no hope that America would win,
Yeah.
but after seeing me play, he said that he could not beat me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said I was very strong.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah, so I got some level of respect from the Japanese community. They were very excited that they invited me to Japan a few months later for like a rematch.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that another time.
we can talk about this forever.
Yeah.
We need to talk about stuff that's going on now. All right, so that's a very happy time. Now, right now in the FGC, I don't know. You got your finger on the pulse. Everybody always talks to you about like everything you're doing for the FGC. I'm sure everybody's pretty clear about that, and everyone's very thankful about it. I certainly am. Just on a personal level, I've seen you support me, and I'm just like, love this guy, right? But the FGC seems to be a bit confused right now, or a little bit like, there's a lot of games, which is great, but Capcom's coming under a lot of fire.
Yep.
And I understand why.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of I'm actually very angry with Capcom for some Street Fighter stuff. which I've been into. I've done various videos on or whatever. But right now, everything's blowing up. People there's the portion of people who want Capcom to fail. There's a portion of people who just don't want to believe anything that's being said, etc., etc., etc. What's going on at the moment? What's going on? What the hell is going on? Are these growing pains?
Oh man, okay.
It's a big question, I know.
The players, the consumers, fans, they all have a right to complain right now what's going on. We were all excited with the news about Street Fighter V coming out. The game is out. We're still in the honeymoon phase trying to figure it out. And then we didn't even know that, well, we knew off the bat kind of like Chun-Li was good, but not the best yet because everybody was looking at Nash, and we didn't really piece together how limited the game is. Right? We had a lot of hope that it was going to be more intensive, more more creativity because everybody had a unique V skill, V trigger. Yeah. But it just ended up being who had the best V trigger or who had the best V skill that's going to do some damage. And then, I mean, this is gameplay stuff, right? Yeah. But
outside of
the quality of the game is just not there. I mean, let's be honest.
That's the problem I have.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. I'm not even trying to sugarcoat it at all. It was pretty much it's pretty bad on release. Yeah. We couldn't even play it for a week. Remember I was there. We couldn't play it for a week. The whole arcade mode. I mean, for me, it's not as important, but for the guys that are have been supporting all of the versions of Street Fighter had an arcade mode, so it's going to mean something to them.
But there's people who are deeply entrenched in the franchise that don't necessarily want to get their ass kicked. They just want to go on and fight and play arcade mode and do it like a speed run. Actually, a lot of them do it remember back in Street Fighter 2, it was like who can do it without losing a game, who can do it without losing a round, who can do it with all perfects. Right. There's a secret character. Yeah. No, there isn't, but now there is. It's just the way it was. But beyond that, I've talked about it before, but for me, it's more about the user experience, how it makes you feel. Yeah. The loading times and echoed, the replays, the battle settings, all that crap, whatever. So people have reasons to complain. But there are a lot of other games out there for people to play. Yeah. There's diversity now, for sure. Yeah. But I think people are a little bit confused because they're so entrenched in the Street Fighter community, and so they love the players. They love the tournaments. They love, they love stream monstering. Yeah. They love all that stuff. They love it when, Punk trash talks, and then they're just like, but the game. The game. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, fast forward today, the game still has problems. The update's been released, but remember, everybody compares Street Fighter 4 going into Super Street Fighter 4. It was a better packaged game, and now we're dealing with seasons. Is that the best path for Street Fighter? Right. I don't think so. I think they should actually really go through the rumors of Super Street Fighter 5 and give the community a very robust game. Give them 2 critical R's. Give them multiple V skills. Give them more story modes at a faster rate, right? More tutorials, like a very packaged product. I know it's very that's our wish list, and then it should be the norm, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and I think that's what the community doesn't understand too, because I'm playing devil's advocate here on both sides. Okay, you guys don't know, and I don't know what goes down behind the scenes in regards to development. I think it's highly political. Yeah, it's super. It could be political. It could be obviously budget. It could be it could be resource intensive, where Resident Evil came out, right, and maybe a lot of staff was focusing on that during the time. Yeah. It could have been all of these things, and these aren't excuses, because this is important decisions have to be made to put some product out there on a timeline. Yeah. And if it's not there, they're losing that money anyways, or they're just whatever was promised with Sony or whatnot. We don't know any of these finer details. Now that the game is out,
where's everything that was promised is like the problem, right? So hopefully on the third year, I don't think we're gonna see much on this year. So we're just gonna see what the new characters are. I'm excited about the new characters, but for next year, if we're gonna see a season 3 or we're gonna see a Super Street Fighter 5, I hope we see a Super Street Fighter 5. It's I love just like you guys feel misled, or you followed the series for so long, you have a legacy, emotional attachment to the series like I do. But now all these games are coming out, you're starting to look the other way. We get it. There's Tekken, there's Dragon Ball, right? There's Final Fantasy Dissidia, right?
So many cool things.
There's so many cool things, and like you're like, wow, why are these games so fully packaged? But you can never stop to think that like you have high hopes for Street Fighter, and you want them to succeed. We all do.
There's that emotional investment, there's emotional attachment. And the same goes for Marvel, which we will talk about. But before we do that, let's lighten the mood a little bit and ask you my favorite question, which is, who is your favorite player now, and who is your favorite player of all time? And we'll just do Street Fighter, because I know you cover a lot of games.
Oh, wow. Favorite Street Fighter player now would definitely be Punk, because, let's be honest, we've needed a player like that in the scene for quite some time. We needed a player that is young and can dethrone any of our pastime gods.
Yeah.
Right? And it's needed because it gives much more inspiration and hope to the newer generation. They want to see it. They're going to get tired of looking at the old guys keep winning, because it's just, there's nothing new about it, right?
He came from nowhere. It's just suddenly boom.
Yeah. So, like, he brings a level of extra added excitement to the game, because if it wasn't him, I don't think like the viewership wouldn't be as high or hype, and the stuff that he's been, and his persona too, the way that he is and he acts is like that brings it back to old school, like how we used to trash talk.
I was gonna say, does he remind you of you? Like
some of us, yes. Yeah. I'm very happy that we were pretty dirty back then. Like we were pretty rancid. But what I'm excited about is like, he's in a good organization. He can do his thing, but then again, we're at a new age now. We're at like moms and dads and their kids are watching. We didn't have this type of viewership back then. There was no seeing us this type of viewership. It was just like who you saw at the arcade, and mom and dads, they left their kids there. Yeah. But now, like, I get emails and Facebook messages from parents, saying certain events that are too vulgar for my kid to watch. It's real. It's absolutely real. And you guys don't see it yet, or you guys may not care, but in the grand scheme of things, you're gonna want the families to come to these events. You're not gonna want to you don't want the families to say, oh, I don't want to take my kid there because on one of your tournaments we just saw a caster or a commentator say, F this, F that, and and this to your mom, and wow, really? That's what I want my kid to be involved in. Yeah. And then there's the other side. There's room for that in the local, the small area, but when it comes to the big stage, you got to be very careful what you say.
Yeah, and like ultimately, people want the scene to grow. Yeah. They want to retain some authenticity. Sure. That means that word seems to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Yeah. But ultimately, if you want the scene to grow, you've got to adapt for a wider audience. That's for sure. So your favorite player of all time is?
Okay, my favorite player of all time still is, man. It's still Daigo, man. He's how it was. Like, a lot of people don't know his hunger as a kid. I've seen it. I was right next to him. I was his international rival, and I still to this day couldn't believe the stuff that he was doing on a consistent basis. Like, and you guys first saw your first glimpse of it when Daigo parried Justin. He was doing that type of stuff way long before that. For it to be captured then is just a taste of the ridiculous things that he's done. Wow. And you can even see the adaptation between me and him. If you actually analyze the match between me and Daigo in Alpha 3, you can see like how how much of a prodigy he was, and how much as a special talent this guy has been for so many years. Even through the dark eras, he's always been top 3 in every event, in international play. And to like what he's been, even now, like he was in Capcom Cup last year. He's close to 40, like me. And then nobody has that type of accolades. I don't know. It doesn't matter who you are. And Justin's an amazing player, and he's done his great stuff. But like, if I had to pick one,
you have to pick one.
It's Daigo.
Always have to pick one. All right, so let's move on to because we're gonna get thrown out of here in half an hour. I just realized. So let's talk about Marvel vs. Capcom. You had a chance to play it?
I did get to play Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It was super fun.
Let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay. So let's talk about. Well, let's get this shit out of the way first.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about the bad. What do you want to see changed, improved upon?
Yeah, the artwork definitely needs changing. I mean, we've already been through it with Street Fighter V. There's Ken, and like, oh man, this is Marvel vs. Capcom now. This is like all of the Marvel series games, Marvel vs. Capcom games have looked amazing. Like from the character select screen to fast forward now and we look at like Chun-Li, that needs work. Definitely works. I haven't played the demo, so I can't really comment.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Really, how that looks.
It's different though.
Yeah.
I've heard that from everybody. Everybody keeps telling me it must be a different build or something.
Yeah.
But even if the graphics are slightly better, I think Chun in particular is still a mess.
Yeah. Honestly, besides the artwork, I can't really find anything else that's pretty bad. I haven't played online. The other features.
We don't know UX.
You don't know stuff.
So gameplay.
Gameplay now. It's so fun.
It's so fun, right?
So if you guys are familiar with Marvel vs. Capcom 1, the duo supers where you can call 2 people at the same time and control them both.
Yeah.
That's the type of freeform that we see in this game. Because we have Marvel 2 and you call your assist to cover yourself and go back and forth and kind of have like this whole cover me aspect.
Yeah.
Right? And even in Marvel 3 is sort of the same, right? A little bit more balanced, cover each other with assists, having pretty cool loops and stuff like that. But now Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, more freeform. Way more freeform because you can switch upon switching upon switching. If I do a crouching, whatever, medium, heavy, doesn't matter, my teammate comes in, finish the job, or mix you up.
Yeah.
If I can call one of the stones and like the little bubble that comes out with the power stone, or this reality stone, please forgive me. And for a character that doesn't really have a projectile, I can call my assist and like teleport or do something crazy. So I haven't even started on what the nuttiness about this game.
Yeah.
And it's people wanted a very creative Marvel. It's right here. It's like you don't see it with the preliminary gameplay because everybody's a noob. You would have to see Peter play it, but I'm pretty sure Peter has to hold back right now. He can't really show everything.
Yeah.
He's just showing a taste. And the presentation when you play it, it's much better in person. Again, demo doesn't really give it the justice. I saw some of the demo clips there. I'm like, nah. It's the colors are more vibrant. There are some stages where it just really everything is a lot more colorful in some stages. Couldn't really hear the music too much, so I can't really comment there because it's loud in here. And everybody's kind of like banging on the sticks.
I didn't know.
Yeah. The dynamics with the teams, even though the roster, okay, that's the good thing. The roster may seem like bland to a lot of you guys because you've seen them on just the previous game. It doesn't matter in this game. They're not. First of all, they don't even play the same. Second of all, when you're playing the game itself is not Marvel 3. It's not Ultimate Marvel 3. It's not Marvel 2.
Yeah.
It's its own Marvel. You're gonna get into it. It's like even though I know how to play Chris Redfield, I'm not playing Chris Redfield from Marvel 3. It's kind of like playing a Street Fighter 3 character and trying to play in the same way in Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
Almost. It's just it's not the same. And you'll notice this when you start tagging back and forth. It just doesn't matter. You can pick any character and be creative as the heart's content. That's why I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a lot of players,
Yeah.
and I believe it. You know, like I felt like I said this in other videos. I said this before, but I think when the initial tweets went out, where they felt like they were over the top, and everyone was like, "You're being a shill, you're being a shill." I'm calling that the way I would describe that, being here and experiencing it, and I won't bullshit anyone. It felt like actually people. It was a huge sigh of relief. It was people. It was them going, "Oh my god. Thank God this game is a good game. Like this feels like a good game, you know." And then it just like exploded, and everyone thought they were shilling. Nah, it's a good game. Graphics suck, but it's a good game. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. Praying the UX and the netcode is good. I really am.
Yeah.
But we'll see on that. Got any favorite like characters or stones or you know anything that at the moment you're going, I like this character. It's
Well, I went to my classics. I went to Ryu and Captain America.
okay.
And
Oh my god, that's so American.
yeah, it's so American. And then I picked the Space Stone. So you can, what it does if you're in like the V trigger portion, it's like a V trigger. You have a V skill off of it, and you have a V trigger. The V trigger portion is you put them in a box in a cube, and they cannot leave that cube. Like your opponent cannot leave the cube, and you can do whatever you want with them in the cube. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had Zangief in the game. And you put him in the
Yeah, I
space.
know,
That
right?
would be
But they
so
have Hulk,
sick.
right?
Oh yeah, I haven't really played them, but
Okay.
same probably
Somebody else was
concept.
talking about because Jay Wong said to me like ages ago, he was like, you know, I'm gonna get scooped by like.
Oh,
Hulk.
yeah.
Like, but I don't
You-
know exactly how it works.
You can still defend yourself in there, but it's so funny because what I did to Filipino champ one time is, you know, we're fighting around, right, and we both have one character left. Time was running out, so when time was nearing to run out, I put him in the Space Stone and I just ran away. And I just laughed at him. And I took a picture of him too. I'm like, yep, deal with that. I have the lead and I'm out.
Yeah, I saw that you
I'm
said
out.
you could taunt as well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you can run away and taunt. And just like, if they don't have a fireball, they're
Yeah.
kind of just like sitting there. And they're like, until the thing runs out.
It's totally broken.
It's
totally broken.
it's not broken because you have one too.
I know, but I mean, like, all I hear about this game is like and in a positive way. People are like, it's broken, but Marvel's supposed to be
Yeah,
broken.
yeah,
So you know, it is what it is. All right, so that's Marvel, and people will just have to decide for themselves. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Go out, you know, check it out. Did you get any chance to play Dragon Ball at all?
Yes, I actually played it one time. It was the only time I had time to play with it was on day one.
Okay.
And that for the Marvel 3 fans, Marvel 2 fans, it's gonna be a very familiar game for you. And as well as Guilty Gear fans, because it's like it has Guilty Gear elements, like the way that you have a burst and like
Yes.
approaches,
Yeah.
right? Very, very, very free form,
Yeah.
like jumping around, double jumps. Like dust type moves where you
Yeah.
can knock them up in the air or wall bounce. That stuff is there, and the assist composition too. If you like that, that's very fun. Like I would be more excited of the game if I had more time with it, but I only got one game.
Yeah.
And even saying all this stuff in one game, I think it's gonna be pretty hot. It's just good. It's a good competition of games coming out. Like you have Marvel, you have Dragon Ball FighterZ.
And the great
Right.
thing about Dragon Ball is such a wonderful franchise. you
Yeah.
know. I mean, I don't know it. I'm like too old. I didn't grow up with it. I have to go back, and it's a part of me that wants to go back and like watch some of that stuff and get to know it. And so I have a little bit more emotional investment. But damn, the people who have it, they're going nuts like for that game.
So it's aesthetically pleasing. Their attention to detail is so amazing. One of the tech throws was just them doing the quick fast punches and blocking them. That's
Right.
a tech throw.
Oh
Like
my
what?
God.
Usually
I saw that. I saw
tech
that.
throw is
I
just
saw
a bump off,
Yeah, I
right?
saw that.
Or a no way or something,
Yeah,
right?
I saw
But
that.
no, they're like
Yeah.
like that's how much love they put in the game, right?
Yes,
So we can only assume that when more characters get announced and like more crazy supers happen, it's gonna really get the people that have been Dragon Ball fans for day one and that's what we want. We want new players to try it to play with the fighting game community, and then of course our hardcore, they're gonna gonna dissect that game and see all the cheapness that's involved, because that game has got to be cheap from day one.
Yeah.
It's got to, and that's the fun part.
And it's beautiful. It looks beautiful.
It looks
The interactions with the background. In my head, I'm just like, how does that even work? But it looks great. What I wanted to ask you was, it's only 20% complete, but you've played it. Does it feel like, so if I wanted to, like, you know, train up in advance for this game, right? In a style. Flo said it was a bit like Skullgirls, right? Sonic Fox said it was a bit like Skullgirls. Filipino Champ said it was a cross between Marvel 2 and 3. What was your feeling?
I think it has elements of all of them, because in Skullgirls you can actually I don't play it too much. From what I've seen is like you can be a little bit more creative on how you displace the assists. And this one too. As far as approach, it feels like Marvel, right? There is a lot of air dashing, so it's a mixture of like how anime games are and its natural or native gameplay. But as soon as you're starting to, and I tell all the Marvel players from the get-go, Marvel players should always try Guilty Gear, because it's literally, if you have a storm and you're doing 3 hits, on the head, cross them up, and then you land, you're doing the same thing in Guilty Gear. So when I saw that you can do that in Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's like, oh, it has elements of Marvel, it has elements of Skullgirls. They also have the air dashing ability, the multiple hits in the air, land, call the assist in weird spots to trick them. Same thing. And if you like that type of straightforwardness, it's there. I think for now, in my opinion, because I have more time with it, that Marvel may have a little bit more creativity, while the Dragon Ball fighter has a bit more control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. A few people have said that, actually.
Yeah.
But it's only 20% complete.
Yeah,
so
it is only 20%.
We'll see where it goes. It's very interesting indeed. So that's going to be exciting. That's only 2018. ARMS. Now, you're the man who played ARMS. You actually entered the ARMS contest. You were an invitee to the ARMS tournament, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about ARMS. How was your ARMS experience?
So initially, I thought like, okay, ARMS. So Nintendo is very notorious for making like just casual-friendly games. It doesn't really have a big competitive lifespan. It's just you see it what it is, exploit the game for what it is, and be done with it. It wasn't like that at all. It's like it has more layers than just punching and boxing gloves. They have V skill type moves too.
Oh, really?
From a dash. Yeah, every character has a special. Like if you dash and you hold the dash button, their gloves glow. Some of them give them special abilities. One of them can parry. One of them can do like an electric knockdown. It's a knockdown hit. Some of them, and depending on, you can pick your different gloves too for different effects. Like a long range glove, a big ball glove which has armor. So it has a lot of that like pre-match to try to balance out your fighter versus like a fast fighter, right? So you need to decorate what the proper equipment is to fight that character. You have supers. Everybody has different supers, whether it's like a super hit, like a bunch of hands coming out, versus like one has laser beams coming out. So it's different unique ways to strike with your opponent. It's not always just the same thing. There is frame data. There is like that's actually needed. You can you can hit you can do like a lead off left punch, right, and they block it. And your opponent is slow now. They can hit you back, but you can see that hand come out, dodge it, and hit him back. Right. Okay. So there's this constant like movement which reminds me of like Virtual On. Yeah. Right. Or if you're familiar with the Gundam series, where you're kind of like getting into position, lead on with the glove.
So they don't have guaranteed punish.
There are guaranteed punishes. Because if somebody puts two hands out, you can dash to the side and get a throw. Okay. Right. Some people with slow arms, you can block and get a throw, right? Or a super. There's throws in the game too. If you throw two arms out at the same time, they can't block.
I've seen that. I love the throws.
Yeah, there's throws, and I've gotten multi throws. Like, well, not multi throws, but during an Oki, somebody gets up and I time their wake up. get another throw.
Oh, you found a throw loop?
Well, no, you can roll to the sides last minute too. So you gotta commit.
I'm kind of just joking that the Street Fighter guy finds the throw loop. You know?
Yeah, I was doing that to some of them. They're all like, "Oh man, you're timing the throws really well on Wake Up." I'm like, the first things that I learned in fighting game is how to sweep and how to throw.
Yeah, and how to keep throwing until you stop me.
So like I can't tell you if it's gonna be the competitive game.
Did you see the spectator mode? That was really cool.
Which one?
The spectator mode.
Okay, so that is for this event
For
only.
esports?
For this build only. It's not for currently. Well, from what I've heard, they are still thinking of if they're going to have something like that or not. Because because the reason I tell you is because most Nintendo games that they don't have like a lobby. It's all matchmaking. Right? They don't have a spectator lobby, so they're still trying to figure out if that is the direction they're going to go into.
I heard that this game was their esports game, and if it is their esports game, then that spectator mode is going to be really important for commentating.
We would think so, but until we see it,
but we don't know. Okay.
Yeah, so honestly, like I would love to say that it's coming. I want it. I tell them like, hey, you guys need a spectator mode, you need a lobby mode, and because you know how I don't know if you guys are familiar with the competitive side of Nintendo games, you have to have like a friend code, and that's how you invite them, right? There's no lobby.
It's all safety.
It's all
because it's very it's family and children and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And even Ultra Street Fighter 2, there's no lobby. You literally have to create a room. Somebody joins it. That's it, right? So, like I said, we would assume some like a spectator mode for ARMS would be available, but like again, from my discussions with them, they're still figuring out what the direction is. And going back to ARMS, I'm very curious about the competitive side of it. We saw the director, Mr. Yabuki, play. And he was doing stuff that totally made sense in art. Like we were like, oh wait, is there frame data? Is there strats? And yes, there was. There's all of that stuff, and it just makes me like really want to run the game at Wednesday Night Fights to try it out.
So there's depth. And
there's depth. There's fun. There's hardcore elements. There's depths. There's unique characters. There's stages. Right.
And the spectator mode, for me at least, when they switched to spectator mode, I found that more interesting to watch.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's called spectator mode. But it really did look more interesting to watch. So maybe there's a combination there for something successful.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to add is there's a lot of like after that ARMS Invitational, there was a lot of interest from both Smash communities and FGC to try it. Because Street Fighter and Smash, they don't really cross pollinate.
I know.
Maybe this game will be the first one to cross pollinate the players, and I really would love to see that.
Yeah, either that or rock paper scissors. All right, so when you're not doing FGC stuff, what are you doing?
I'm a moviegoer, man. I love movies, concerts, nightlife activities. Usually I'm working all day, project managing, and sometimes when I want to stream too.
You're a music guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, hip hop, EDM. There's some rock concerts my friends take me to.
I've seen you tweet a lot about actually not rock, but I've seen you tweet a lot about techno. Techno, but like dance music, that sort of thing. Yeah,
because I have a lot of DJ friends that spin at some of the most popular LA and Vegas clubs.
Okay.
And whenever they have an event, sometimes I try to make it. Like I'm free on a Thursday night sometimes, because I'm not doing Wednesday Night Fights. A weekend that I might be available, and I'll go out there. I'll invite some of my old friends and go there and just relax, unwind. It's just.
So you do that? You like to socialize?
Socialize, definitely.
We'll talk about the stream in a minute because I consider that part of the FGC.
Yeah.
But do you have are you a TV guy? Do you have any favorite TV shows or movies?
Yes. Oh yeah. I am definitely a Netflix guy. I've been watching all the all the superhero stuff. I'm currently watching like The Flash.
Is that any good?
Yeah. It's really interesting to see him kind of figure out how he is the centerpiece of all the other guys that try to help him in Star Labs. I'm still trying to figure it out too, but it's kind of interesting story, in my opinion, and it clashes with Arrow and the Supergirl series. So I'm trying to see all this stuff in the multiverse. it keeps my brain off of like the whole producing stuff. So it's fun. It's fantasy, man. Yeah, man.
Exactly what it's
that all kinds of other stuff too, like House of Cards. I've been watching that.
Yeah,
I watch
you
it. Yeah.
You know, you just said somebody else said that.
Huh?
Who I interviewed today? Filipino channel. It wasn't him because we were talking Marvel. It was Seijan.
Ah, yes.
So I guess you and Seijan talk about House of Cards.
Yeah, House of Cards. I haven't started this the latest one yet.
Have you seen the? You know that it's based on a UK show from like 10 or 20 years ago.
No.
It's on Netflix. Find the UK version.
Okay.
Like, House of Cards UK. I think it's still on Netflix.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Hey,
repping
look,
the UK.
If I have time, I'll check it out.
It's old, but like, it's kind of based on that.
Yeah. So Netflix for sure. You know, my folks are getting a bit older, so like, you know, so my dad just had his 60th birthday, so sometimes like there's planning on that stuff too, like the home front. Cause I'm the only child, so I gotta watch my folks.
Yeah.
And whatever like special activity they want to do, like I have to spend more time with them now, versus kind of like me going on my own and doing stuff. It's because they're gonna get into an age where like they're like it's. I'm starting to feel bad not spending so much time because you know, when you're in this industry or when you're a game player and you're always traveling, you're always doing you. I'm pretty sure some of you kind of don't go back to the family thing. So I'm kind of like, you know, putting that back into my life. And
when you have a passion, it's very hard. When you have a passion, it's very hard sometimes to find time for some of the very, very important things in your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Find time for. Actually, what I'm trying to say is you're trying to find time for balance.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I feel the same way. You know, like I've got nephews in the UK and real nephews, not FGC nephews.
Sure.
But I got real nephews in the UK, and you know, I want to go back and visit them and see them and all that stuff, and that sometimes gets lost in the mix when you're just grinding whatever you're doing. You know, whether you're in the FGC or you know your passion or whatever it is. Do you ever play? You know, I check out your stream every now and then, but I can't remember because I see you playing fighting games. I always like whenever I go on your stream, it's usually Rashid because you're doing the dance. But do you play any other video games?
Yeah. So I used to play a lot of Gears of War.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. The Grand Theft Auto series for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Resident Evil. Resident Evil.
Did you put all this stuff on stream, or do you play it like off stream, or?
I used to play Gears of War a lot on stream before, but a lot of other stuff I just play it privately a bit.
You do? Relax?
Relax, you know, just to like play it in my room or something.
Yeah.
Because like whenever I stream, it's like in my office, right? So like there's a big difference between like leisure time in the office, leisure time in your room.
Yeah.
So you know, it's just it's all in my mood. Like sometimes I do want to like stream for the community just to see what I'm doing, but other times I just kind of like it's me time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's another way to like kind of engage my fans out there and seeing what I'm doing when I have the time. And whenever I play Street Fighter, you know what, I feel like they should see it. You know, because how much. But I don't know how much longer I'm gonna play like this much, right?
Let's talk a little bit about the stream. So when you're streaming, what do you feel like when you're streaming? What do you feel like is your primary kind of driver? Are you just trying to like show how cool you are? Are you trying to like educate people? Are you trying to entertain people? Like, is it a combination of all those things?
Yeah, it's definitely a combination of all those things, but first and foremost, I'm a fighting game player. So I came from a time when Street Fighter was packed with all those quarters, I would go to the next machine. Whether or not it's Street Fighter, I would play it. Mortal Kombat, you know, the SNK games, down the list. If those games were taken, I would play non-fighting games and I would just go at it. So I was just so addicted to play fighting games that now when I play them, I want to find out what's new about this game, what's new on the table. That's why I've dedicated my time to playing like Rashid, a new character in Street Fighter V, playing Kolin,
Yeah.
Trying out Ed here and there.
Yeah.
Because I wanna play new things. Because the whole traditional route I've done so many times.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's much for the community to learn from me there. Where there's better players out in the field now doing, spending their times crafting those characters. Where I feel that I can do that with the newer characters.
You know what? You made me think of 2 questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so first one is, one's about Ryu, one's about Ed.
Sure.
First one is, what does Ryu need just to make him, like, not even top tier, just to make him like middle of the road?
They took way too much from him because the reason why he was really good in season 1, cross up light kick, the damage, the Oki off of his attacks, constant roundhouse, the V reversal, and the throw loop.
Yeah.
They took all of that out, and then they just gave him, a background house to play with, the forward fierce, and do like the new toys off of his V trigger, right? But
it's not enough, right?
You have to hit.
Yeah.
But you can't land those hits in this game like that. In order to land, the most clever way to land hits, the best way to land hits are jumping light kick, which is really hard to anti-air.
Yeah.
Right. If you knock someone down, he's in your face already.
Yeah.
He's not really in your face with season 2.
Okay.
And even if he had those changes, the characters that got buffed, like just really they neutralized that stuff.
Samurai said that too.
Yeah.
He said, like, even like if you kept Ryu the same, he still wouldn't be the best in the game.
No, he would be okay. Even in season 1, he was good.
Yeah.
But how many players took him to that level?
Yeah.
And he's okay. I mean, Ryu is supposed to be like that. Only the best players can show his true potential.
Because people know the matchup so well.
Yeah. Come on, Chun-Li. Good luck beating Chun-Li as Ryu in season 1. All right. And even when playing a good Ken, good luck beating Ken. In season 1, Ken was ridiculous too, right?
So also the lag was higher then as well.
Yeah. So like, and Nash was still hard to deal with. So
Yeah.
it was never a walk in the park. So if it wasn't a walk in the park in season 1, it's not going to be a walk in the park in season 2 at all.
All right, so let's talk real quick about Ed. I want to know, what do you think of Ed?
I think he's interesting, but he needs some rework here and there because it's just so the ranges of his attacks. I'm sure you guys heard this. The ranges of his attacks.
He whips, right?
He whips with his specials. The crouching medium kick, it has to be close up to do it, to connect with like his launcher or both launchers. Right? It's just, and the piano. If you're trying to piano the flicker, you might get his uppercut move.
Okay.
And I mean, there's techniques and way you can get it, but it overlaps. So it's very frustrating for a lot of players to kind of play or try to find the higher level Ed play, but then you're getting mixed inputs, which is throwing him off a bit, right?
Yeah.
And then plus some of his normals, they get countered pretty well from just like it's a little wonky, right? Or his fireball, right? With like Infiltration had a really good stream on showing like the good things and bad things about Ed. And one of the things that he showed is like his hurt box when he throws out a fireball.
Yeah.
Just trade the second hit. Like he does the one punch and then the fireball, right? Just trade a normal with that fireball. You always win.
Okay.
Like if you find a good normal, you'll always win. It'll just make you not want to use that move.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's good versus like meaties and stuff like that, and he's got some juicy stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think
I don't find him as interesting as Kolin. Kolin is much more interesting for me. Like I feel like I can explore better with that character with setups that she has. I think like Ed, when I want to rush down with him, it's very. It feels very forced, and I feel like I'm very limited because I can mess up my inputs, and that's scary in this game. If you mess up, you're going to be corner carried, and that's a wrap. Well, at least with Kolin, like you can kind of neutralize some things and have fun with the hail. You have V trigger to push people away.
Yeah, she's kind of interesting.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting, and her setups are very execution heavy.
Yeah.
So hopefully some people find out some more. I mean, still it's relatively early, but hopefully some people find some crazy stuff with Ed keep the interest going there.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
They're gonna start. I know for sure she's gonna start shouting at 5 p.m. in like 1 minute.
Yeah.
So I was gonna talk to you a little bit about E-League and esports and where you see the future of it all. Can you summarize very quickly like where you want esports to go?
I think these opportunities it's what we need. You know, we there's so many tournaments. There's pro tours, right? There's ranking events, but there's room for many other type of events too. I've always said this for the longest time, and E-League has proven not that it's full esports. They actually let some things rock, right? The Wolf Chrome K-Bread thing, right? And just the way that they took care of the players, and just the whole presentation was nice. And more of that, please. Even other companies, other cable companies that are maybe interested in showcasing us. Sure, it gives opportunity for the players that you guys want to see. More money into the FGC, right?
Jobs for a lot of people.
Jobs, yes, production jobs too. They contract us to go out, the guys at Wednesday Night Fights that you guys see every week on national television. Really? Come on. This is what we've wanted for the longest time. And hopefully the pro tours turn into stadiums. It's all this stuff down the road. I don't know how many years that takes. Those are all wish list items. We all want this stuff to succeed. But I'm pretty sure all of you guys are saying, let's make the game better first. So there it is.
And there it is. There it is. The guy is shouting. He's going to throw us out.
2017. It's 5 o'clock Thursday afternoon, and the show is officially closed. Please make your way to the exit. We will see you next year on June 12th, 2018. Thanks for coming. Have a safe year.
All right, so that is officially the end of E3. I could talk to you forever. I'm sure we could do like a million interviews. I've probably only scratched the surface. I'm sure I have. But thank you very much for talking to me and taking the time.
Anytime.
I'm going to be at Evo, so perhaps we'll get to do some more talking.
Sure, man.
All right, so we'll say goodbye to these guys. Take it easy, guys.